It's compelling, it's cutthroat, it's chaotic, it's clever, it's controversy and chaos, baby.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Controversy and Chaos. This is what, episode 7? 7?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's right. 7. Welcome to episode
Well-
7, everyone. Well, technically, it's episode 8. So if you have not gotten yourself caught up, we are now going to be in your feed every single week. So how we're going to do this is every other week, you're going to get a regular episode such as today's episode, and then on the other weeks you're going to get our hot topics where we're going to try to cover all of the internet shenanigans that have been happening, give you our little 2 cents on it, and yeah, so make sure that you are prepared and hit that Apple automatic download button so you already have the episode, so when you open up the app, boom, you ready to go, just press play. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why when I look in the camera, I put on hella bronzer just for it to record. And then I'd be like, wow, I still look like a white woman. Like mad bronzer. In real life.
And you're cut like right here, your cheeks. I see it.
Yeah.
I'd be trying to like bronzing for days. And then I'd be like, I look Caucasian. And I don't want that.
At least your face doesn't look flat. I didn't do a lot of bronzing
You have black
today.
features. It's not like anybody would be confused about you being black.
At all.
Child, I don't know. Because
not
the way
during
people,
Black History Month.
What are you? And I'd just be like, I'm black. Black and black. Hella black.
They want to know if you're biracial.
I'm not. She's biracial. I'm not. I'm hella black.
They want to know if you Dominican, you know black. You Dominican.
If you mix with anything, you got Puerto Rican or Indian in your family.
No. I hit the non-Hispanic box every single time. Nope, just black. That's it. That's all I got. So what's been going on with everyone? I feel like it's been like a busy week.
Heck yeah. So for me, I feel like, work is work, but clients, as far as like socially crafted, it's been going very well. Low key, a lot more coming in than I expected off the, I guess it's not really the start. So it's been like a month or so, I guess, technically, but it's been going pretty good. I feel like I've become like the networking events queen. Like every week we have some type of event, whether it's formal or networking to go to. And I feel like I really thrive in those areas. It's great. Like I know how to drink just enough to be social, but to like also get other people to be drinking more than me. So I feel like sophisticated and in control. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Anyway.
I love to get other people drunk. Because they always telling all their business.
Yeah.
I would say it's nothing new.
Yeah. So
here you go. Drink.
Yeah. But it's great doing it in like
account.
I know, but it's like doing it in a professional atmosphere is just funny because it's like, oh, y'all really trying to let your hair down. Like, okay. So that's cool. But yeah, I've been stuck on this TikTok soap opera. This lady, she's on there talking about her marriage. It says, who the fuck did I marry? Okay, so if you're interested, let me know. I'll send you the link to her page. There's a playlist. So far I think there's like 57 videos. I'm on 31 right now, and they're very lengthy. Each one is at least like 3-5 minutes long, and of course this is based out of Atlanta.
Is this like Peach McIntyre?
No.
Like I know the lady that she's talking about, because I too at one point I was down that rabbit hole. Now all the new videos I have not caught up, but she was basically, I guess, how her first husband, then she cheated on him with the new husband, and it was babies involved. Oh, we're talking about 2 different people?
Yeah, we must be talking about 2 different people, because this lady, this is her one and only husband. And he was previously married and has stepchildren and all this other stuff. But like, we're uncovering, like, so far I've gotten to the point where she talked about how they met in 2020. They were dating, moved in together, got married. Now we're at the climax of the relationship, to where she's uncovering that this nigga is a bold-faced ass Atlanta liar. Okay? So, yeah.
You're really backing your YouTube, because that's what the girl
Well, you're going to have to send it to me, and I'm going to have to trade and send you my girl, because the girl that I've been watching, Like, she told her whole story, how her first husband met, then she cheated on him with the new husband, and now she breaking up with the new husband to go back to the old husband. It's babies involved. It is drama.
Is she pregnant right now?
I think so, yes. Or she might have just had her baby.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
I'm here for everybody spilling their tea on TikTok.
I hope that y'all are just as shocked as I am, because what the fuck do y'all be watching on TikTok?
My mouth, when I first stumbled on her, like, and I stumbled on it at like part 5. I didn't even start at part 1. So when I tell you my mouth was ajar, when I watched that video, I was like, oh, no. I gotta go all the way back to the first video. People be having some drama.
Yeah.
Forget TV. You don't need TV. Just watch TikTok. You don't need TV. Watch TikTok, because it gets spicy over there.
And honestly, when I watch people's story times on TikTok, I think to myself, like, wow, I really wish I had the balls to do story times, because when I tell y'all I got some stories, but I just can't bring myself to say them out loud. Like, I just can't do it. Like, no.
And the TikTok streets are unforgiving, so I'm shocked that people are so comfortable, like, just opening up and spilling their guts like that.
I mean, for the people that, like the lady that I'm referring to, and I can't remember her name. She also makes cooking videos as well. But she is very, like, she engages sometimes in the comments, and she's just like, look, this is who I am. This is my life. And y'all could say whatever y'all want. I got to live it every day. I don't know y'all. So I mean, I feel like you just got to be a strong person, because if you put it out there, of course, people are entitled to give their opinion about information you put out there.
Yeah.
If you don't care and you really like standing on your own business, and you're just like, look, there's nothing that you could say to me that hasn't already been said or that I haven't already felt about myself. This is just where I'm at. This is the thing called life. There's no instructions. And she just doing her shit. And she done lived to tell the tale.
Yeah, but I just feel like for me, I think I live a mysterious, private type of life. Even like the people who are in my life don't know, like, majority. Like, I think about it like this. If you met me after I started dating Matt, then you probably don't know, like, a good fraction of the psychoticness of my life. Unless we're, like, super close friends. Like, for example, like Teray, like, we met a month or 2 months before I met Matt. But we were able to divulge a lot within that time period. So you know a lot. But I feel like most people, they don't know me pre-Matt. So it's like, they just have this idea like, oh yeah, Sierra, whatever. But it's like, no, y'all niggas don't. I got some stories, okay?
Oh, people think you're vanilla?
True life. You have no idea.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I met you after Matt, and I still don't think you're vanilla, so.
Well, that's different. That's because there's a level of comfortability. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know the real tea. That too.
I just can't imagine meeting you and being like, oh, she's so vanilla. Like,
not vanilla.
I wouldn't think that you've done crazy things. That's not what I'm saying. But like, just to be like, oh, what a boring bitch. Like, I don't think I would.
I don't think anybody could ever say I'm boring. I mean, look at me. Like, it doesn't give boring, but it definitely gives like, oh, like, you know, she's a little stush, you know.
What was that?
Like,
I don't know. You know.
Well, I think that I don't know. I think about it like in the mom groups that I'm in. I'm in like this special mom group, and they are so mean to each other. And it's supposed to be a non-judgmental space, but I be reading the comments and I just be typing in, I'm holding space for you, mom, because I feel like that's my way of just letting them know, like, hey, girl,
I see you.
I see what you're trying to say. Like, it's not coming off the right way, but I'll support you here. Because the girls are vicious for no reason. And it's like, wasn't that rule 1 and 2 in this group? You're not supposed
Nobody
to
reads those
say
rules.
like that.
Nobody read them rules. Everybody just like, yes.
I know, but they be coming hard, and I just do like. And also, I feel like at a certain point, like not what y'all are watching, but I feel like I don't be wanting to share certain things because, like, if you know, you know. Like, people come to me and be asking me questions all the time. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. I'll tell you. Like, I'll answer you. But I think sometimes telling the same story over and over that's been told. Like, I don't think there's anybody on this earth that has not lived. I think the experience that I'm living in some way. But I think telling the same story over and over again, it doesn't really like give hope for other people. Like, I'd rather tell you that, like, yeah, this happened, but like, also look at me now. I'm getting paper. Y'all
Sometimes
quit
people
that?
don't
Because last
always
week y'all was trying to come for
girl.
me.
Yeah, because you was not a part of the Christopher Maurice bandwagon. But anyway,
Oh my gosh.
I think a lot of times people need hope, but it's like more relatability. Like, okay, cool. So I'm not the only one who, done been through X, Y, and Z, or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
One
Yeah,
day I'll
because I
tell
think
my
sometimes
self-white underbelly story.
Child. But even things like soft white underbelly, it's like it's not to be like a self-help thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna tell you this tragic story, or I'm gonna tell you the story of my life in order to at the end be like, oh, here's the pot of gold. Like, this is how I got here. No, it's just like, okay, this is the story. I'm not here to help you do nothing. I'm just telling you.
This is just the story, yeah.
This is just the story. If you take something from it, if you feel relatable, like if I feel relatable to you, cool, great. But I'm not here to help you. I'm not here. I'm not your mystical guide to help you. Like, oh, if you're in this situation, these are the things that you could do to get out of the situation. No, that's not what I'm here to do. And I think a lot of times that, especially like you mentioned, mom groups, I think in moms groups, that's what they be looking for. They be looking to solutions to their
Like,
own personal problems. And it's like, girl, don't look at me because I do not know. I am just a girl and I'm just living life like everybody else. I truly don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah. Did you give me an update, Michelle? I don't think so.
Did I have a baby?
What?
Did you give an update? She said, did you give an update?
Oh, no, I didn't give an update, but nothing really. Oh, last weekend, y'all know I have this spreadsheet that's now organized of all the restaurants here, Chicago, DC, Philly, and New Jersey and New York. So I finally tried Sin. I went out with my girlfriends and we went to this healthcare mixer. And I'm saying that that's the highlight of the week. A lot of other stuff happened, but it's like boring work stuff. That's the highlight of the week because I'm assuming that there were a room full of single men and everybody was socially out. It was for all Black people. It was a great time. The drinks were great. I did have great conversation with some people, but men are so weird. Like, beautiful women. Disclaimer, the only ones that I seen doctor on their tag were women, or they were residents. Everybody else was like working in different fields. Some people worked in finance. Like, all in all, it was a room full of Black excellence. But the men were posted up like they was waiting for a lap dance. And I'm like,
not standing against the wall, waiting for Miss Torksome to walk by.
Standing in the middle of the floor. Like, some people, they would walk up and they would talk, they would say something, like introduce themselves, like, hey, let's chat, like, here's my card, here's my number, kind of thing. But for the most part, I would say 85% of people in the room were socially awkward. I was like, get the fuck out of here. So I'm looking forward to going to another one. They have them every month. I'm gonna go to the one in April because I'm not gonna be. I need to skip March. I think it's like smack dead in the middle of March. No, thank you. So I'm gonna go to the one in April. It should be nice outside, and they have them at really nice venues. But I don't know. It was a cute little singles event. It was the week before Valentine's Day. But I said, God damn, y'all need some cue cards. This is weird. Like, don't even know how to introduce themselves. It was so weird.
Well, I think part of it could really just be that people are not used to having to talk to people face to face. A lot of people are on dating apps, or so they kind of that like first impression, like, oh, I can only give you this first impression by speaking to you.
Yeah.
People are so far removed from that because that's not typically how people date anymore. You don't go out and just randomly meet somebody and start talking to them. So I mean, and I feel like part of it could be attributed to COVID. Like, some people really been in their house for 4 years. So that whole like, and especially like depending on how old they are, this is their like prime time that they're not really, they've kind of missed out on that, being able to interact, or just like, okay, nigga, you awkward.
Yeah.
Get yourself together. They kind of missed that. So it's like, if they're on dating apps and that's how they meet women and that's how they, go on dates, they've already kind of built a little bit of a relationship. So when you meet in person, it's not like, oh, this is weird. I already feel like I know you, so we can just have a natural conversation. Versus, hey, I'm Michelle. Hey, I'm Michael. Now what? It's weird.
Yeah.
You're a social butterfly, so you talk to anybody anytime.
I do good on apps. You know I don't do good on apps.
I know. So you are the reverse. You like to be in your face, present day, in person. Some people really rely on the apps and kind of getting the awkwardness out of the way.
Yeah.
Because if you don't like somebody on an app, you could just stop talking to them.
That's true.
In person, it's just like, oh, I don't like you. I can't just walk away right now and be like, oh, period on that sentence. I'm walking to the left. You can't really do that. You kind of have to figure out. If it's like a speed dating, yeah. If you're you're in like a speed dating kind of situation, it's like, God, I cannot wait for this 8 minutes to be up. Please get up and leave. But regular interaction, you don't just be like, okay, period, and just walk off. That's
right.
Okay. So I feel like you got to kind of give people a little bit of grace. Like, okay, some people are just going to be awkward. You got to have to, and you being the more social person, you're going to have to, unfortunately, you're going to have to be the person to kind of go for it and initiate the conversation and get them to be like, okay, I can have a conversation with her. I can open up a little bit, so.
I want to be like, so what about those Niners? Like, how do you engage men? I don't know. It was weird. And it wasn't even like...
Not like that.
It wasn't even the type of event. Like, it wasn't a speed dating event. It wasn't the type of event that I feel like I needed to talk to men. It was just, like, painfully obvious that all the girls are talking and y'all are in the middle of the floor just, like, there. I was like...
waiting to see if they could or should talk to one of the girls.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What have I been doing? I don't feel like I really
what have you been doing?
I feel like I've been doing a lot, but nothing at the same time. I feel like we've been like hosting a lot at our house. So y'all know me. Well, my social battery be low. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to my room now. Goodbye. But I've been toodles. But it's been good. So I just kind of be in my element. We make food, or I make the food. I make drinks, and mix mingle. And it's been actually good. I be kind of like, I don't like all these people in my house.
Oh, you've had crowds.
Like, we've had crowds, like the whole street of cars.
I feel like I don't talk to you. Like, I haven't talked to you, so I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, like we've had like two. We had the last game of the playoffs at our house, and then we did the Super Bowl at our house. And I think each time we probably had at least 30-something people in our house.
Wasn't that Colin Park? That's crazy. I did not. I knew that y'all had company
I saw it on Instagram.
Birthday, but I didn't.
Yeah, and y'all know, like, I don't be posting. Like, I'd be like, damn, where is my phone? I have no clue where it is. It'd be lost. It'd be up under a dish towel somewhere, just lost.
So you've been around 40, 50 people. That's why. Okay. Because I'm like, I ain't talked to Saray in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I be under a rock. I be having to like.
You are not under a rock. You are over the rock. You are rocking.
She's trying to be under a rock.
No,
truly.
I don't think so. It don't sound like it.
Truly. But no, like it was really good. It was really good. People is trying to figure out my frozen margarita recipe, and I be having to tell people, like, don't be over here watching what I'm doing, because one, I'm gonna put you out. Secondly, this
buy the book.
And I told people, I was like, this particular one for the frozen margs is never going to be sold. This is something like you have to be fortunate enough to have one. But when I tell you they slap, best frozen margarita you have ever freaking had. Ever.
I want one of them ginger drinks you made. I don't remember what it was.
I got
with the raspberry.
No, I'm not feeling girly like that.
Oh no, I made her another one when she was here, whenever the hell, in December when you came for Beyonce. Yeah, I made you one then. But yeah, so that's kind of just what I've been doing. I just haven't been doing much, doing a whole lot. Oh, yesterday I went to. I live in Atlanta, so well. You know what I mean when I say I live in Atlanta. I went to the Versace. It wasn't a sample sale. It's a warehouse sale. So I went yesterday, and I got some good shit.
Oh.
Some people didn't like. So how it was set up, it was just basically pretty much their overstock of everything that they just have and they have to get rid of to make way for the new season and so forth. So those big like platform shoes, I call them Beyonce's because that was the first person I ever seen wear them. Those really thick platform pink shoes. They had a ton of those. Like when I tell you they probably had 1,000 of them.
Oh wow.
They had a ton of them. So a lot of people were going there to get those. And those shoes were like $1,400. So they were on sale. They were
Oh wow. That's a bargain.
Yeah. So they had that. They had bags, robes, clothes, kids' clothes. They said they had bathing suits, but I went on the second day and then come to find out from TikTok, they invited like celebrities and stuff to come first, which I kind of don't understand. I don't understand that. So, because I seen like a video, like Kenya Moore was in the video, and they have boxes of stuff. So I'm just like, okay, so y'all got the first grab of
Why she
everything.
didn't go to Kim House?
Anyway, like they got the first pick of stuff because from some people's video, I was like, oh, they had sunglasses, they had watches, they had earrings, they had bathing suits. By the time I got there on Saturday, and I got in line like 8:30 Saturday morning, they didn't open until like 9 o'clock, and it was bitterly cold outside. So people who went on Friday probably got like the best batch of stuff. But even then, like people on Friday was like, girl, it was no bathing suits because they had a pre-event before the actual event. So people was already taking stuff. So it was just kind of like, if you were invited to the pre-event, you kind of got what was left. But I didn't. At first I went to get the platform shoe. But by the time I got there on Saturday, like they just had everything in boxes. So it was brand new stuff, never been worn, just no box. So everything is in other boxes. So like from people just throwing shit everywhere, it was a madhouse. I was just like, these shoes are getting scuffed up. And then I was like, really? Are you going to wear these shoes? Probably not. So I did end up getting 2 other pair of shoes. And like these ones, like one of the pair, I didn't see another pair. I only saw the pair that I got, and they happened to be in my size. And I was like, oh, thank you, sweet baby Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. These are for me. And like when I show them to you, you're going to be like, yes, that is a Teray.
Are they like the mules?
No,
or they have a strap?
These have a strap. So that was it. I wish Nada was here. I wish it was the weekend before because she was here last weekend. So, but I had to go by myself. But which was fine. Give me your line for today.
In honor of Black History Month, my mama always told me, if she can't use your comb, don't bring her home. Who said that? It's a sitcom. It's from a sitcom.
Is it Good Times? Is it old?
It would like give us some more content.
90s sitcom.
It's not Martin.
No,
you were right. Why did you say no?
It was Martin.
It's Martin.
It's Martin. Yeah.
Oh, I was never gonna get that.
Who
his mama said that. Martin. His mama said that.
No.
Cole's mother said that. Okay, I guess Tommy's mother said that.
Nobody gets the point. Ciara, you can't just guess your way down the list.
No, but I'm saying now I want to know who said it.
Tommy said that. Martin says, "Thanks a lot, Pam," and Tommy said, "My mama always told me if she can't use your comb, don't bring her home." And Cole said, "Tommy, you dated a white girl in college." No, she wasn't. She wasn't white. She was French.
Oh my
Tommy
God!
and Cole conversation.
Yeah, no, that one was. Yeah.
I've been
trying to delete Martin out of my head. I feel like I watched the VHSs so much, like the days when there was like no cable. Like I just can't do Martin anymore. When Martin comes on, I gotta go.
Well, thank you for the laughs. Okay. Thank you for the laughs, because I feel like today's topic might not be so funny.
Okay. Yeah, probably not.
But yeah, so for today, I kind of wanted to, I guess, let our audience in a little bit like more personal. So for people who don't know, we are all 3 the oldest child. We're all the oldest children, and we are the oldest daughters, obviously. So outside of just the things that come with just being the oldest in general, also like Beyonce's song, 16 Carriages, and really getting into the analysis of it, I'm like, I feel like we should discuss like the plight of the oldest daughter and how like that kind of, I guess, our upbringing per se, and then how we feel like that shapes how we operate in our adult lives now.
Mm-hmm. Can I just add a disclaimer? Teray, you go first. But the disclaimer is, I know that all of our mothers are our cheerleaders. And when you guys listen to this episode, please just listen with an open ear and an open mind and open heart. Whatever we say is nothing against your parenting. We love you guys. And yeah, just please don't be pulling up on us, because if y'all don't want to go sit on that lady couch, then I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. And some of the things will be like us not agreeing with your parenting. And it's just because we have a different perspective of, you know,
Right.
how this thing is going to go. We have different experiences.
Yeah.
And we are the product of your decisions. So,
yeah. No beef.
love you.
Here we are.
All right, Teray, go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, I guess I'm first. Ooh. But I mean, I feel like, so, okay, a little bit of backstory. I'm the oldest of 3. How old am I? 30? Yeah, I'll be 31 this year. So we are, I think, 6 and 9 years apart. So my youngest is 9 years younger than me, and the middle child, which is my brother, is 6 years younger than me. So I have teenage parents. Like, I feel like most people in the 90s, everybody had a teenage mama.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I was getting hot and ready.
Yes. So yeah, so, and then my biological dad unfortunately passed away when I was about 6 months. So it really was just me and my mom for probably the first 4.5 years. And then my mom got married to my stepdad, which, when you guys hear this, I always refer to him as my dad. So let's just cover the bases so we all on the same page. But I feel like my childhood, being the oldest, definitely came with a lot of pressure. And sometimes I feel like it was an unspoken pressure, but it's there. I feel like a lot of the times things were so focused on being the best at everything, like having, exceptionally good grades, and, always trying to be like, I don't know, that person that had to just like make everybody proud. And part of it, I feel like, especially as I got into my teenage years, I feel like my actions were used to kind of just like cover up other people's, not necessarily mistakes, but to kind of right the wrongs. That's probably the only way I can describe, right the wrongs from their childhood or my mother's childhood, because I feel like there was a lot of focus on not being a teenage parent, like don't get pregnant. So with that, I feel like I missed out on a lot of, just like teenage mishappenings, and going out and being young and dumb and making mistakes. Like, of course, you don't want to make the ultimate mistake, but I feel like mistakes are necessary. And I felt this this pressure that I could not make a mistake. Like, I could not make a mistake. And I also, looking back on it, I don't feel like I really had that much like, I had a childhood, but not that much of a teenagehood, if that makes sense. In comparison to other people, my age. I feel like I had to be way more responsible and, taking care of my brother and sisters. Like, if I went somewhere, they went with me. And sometimes I didn't always want to do that. It was always kind of the thing, like, take your shadows with you. I don't want to take them with me.
Right.
I want to go outside and be 13 and do hood rat shit with my hood rat friends. Like, I don't want to have to be responsible for a 3-year-old and, whatever the math is, a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. I don't want to take them with me. I want to just go outside and do me and figure out who I am. And I feel like that kind of like self-discovery part of that you're supposed to kind of figure out in teenage years, I didn't get that, because I had to be so responsible, and I felt like I can't fuck up. I cannot make a mistake. Like, it is going to be the end of the world if I make a mistake. And I think part of it was just like, it was kind of drilled into me, parent, don't be a teenage parent. And I'm like, well, goddamn, I can't get the opportunity to do anything because y'all focused on one thing, and I just didn't understand. I'm like, well, hello, I made it to 25
Mhm.
without having no kid. Like, and I had my child purposefully.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
you know, I'm good. Like, I just feel like it wasn't, I didn't really get to live my own life. I felt like part of the time I was living the life that somebody else wished that they had the opportunity to live.
Mhm.
And I feel like
It's
that was kind of the hardest part. So when I got to college, it kind of was, that was my first opportunity of being able to figure it out. But also the decisions I made surrounding college, like I went to community college first because that's what my parents wanted me to do. Initially, I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to go to culinary school. I wanted to move to New York. I wanted to go to culinary school, and that's what I wanted to do. And that wasn't happening. My parents were not paying for that. So I went to community college because that's what they told me to do. I did it. And, you know, I still was able to be at home. So family wise, as far as like being to help out with the family business, you know, I was there to be able to do that, which I look at it now like my mom having her own business is amazing. You know, it's great. She's had her own business, I feel like almost 20 years, which is great. But at the same, you know, I still kind of look at it as, okay, this is how our family makes money. This is how we eat. So everybody at a certain point, and I think anybody who has like a family owned business, everybody got to pitch in at some point. I mean, you could look at shit just like your local convenience store. They all family.
Everybody working.
Everybody's family. Everybody got to pitch in because this is how we eat. So I don't feel like any kind of like resentment towards that because, you know, it was a great opportunity. I was able to see my mom really build her business from scratch and still continue to be able to try to grow and expand her business. But the selfish part of me that really just wanted to be young and free was like, I can't do this because I have to be here.
Right.
I didn't get the opportunity to just go to college and do whatever. So it really kind of, I feel like I missed out on a lot of experiences that I probably really wanted to have. And I didn't really get to do anything until I actually moved away to college. And at that point, I was 20. Yeah, I was 20 years old at that point. So whereas like, I mean, I didn't have that experience with college that, you know, when most people, when they first get there, they get out of their parents' house, they wild, ain't nobody going to class, everybody done failed. I was already 2 years in. I had an associate's degree at that point. So I kind of already knew how to operate school. Like, I don't really need y'all to
And you
help
were
me out.
homeschooled, so it's
I was
kind of
homeschooled.
different too.
Yes. Yeah. So throw that in there too. I was homeschooled all of high school. So I kind of already knew how to work independently. I didn't really need nobody to tell me you have to go to class. I can read a syllabus. I can log on a Blackboard. If you just do all PowerPoints, I can read. And I'm going to show it when it's time for the test. But when I was able to move on campus, that was the first time that I actually was by myself. And even then, and still, I still kind of had that don't fuck up in the back of my mind. Yeah. So even like things like now when I look back on it, even when I'm doing like job interviews and I'm like, damn, I've been in my career for 10 fucking years at 30 years old.
Yeah.
I have been busting my ass like working corporate jobs for 10 years. And part of that was just from the same thing. Don't fuck up. You go to school. Like school was just like you go to school to get your degree, to get a job. School was not to go and just dick around and just have fun. Like, you know, things kind of came from that. Like, yes, I did go to parties. I did do other things. But barely. I feel like I barely because I was working. At one point, I was working 3 jobs at one time. So I didn't really get to have the full life experience because of that. I just feel like my upbringing, and also on top of that, having 2 younger siblings, I'm just like, I'm always the example. I'm the test dummy kid. So it's all the mistakes. It's like, okay, they corrected with the other kids, which is great. which I tell my parents, like, you know, we have 3 sets of parents, 3 kids, everybody got a different set of parents.
Absolutely.
Right.
Mhm.
Everybody has a different set of parents. The level of responsibility and the level of pressure on me is not the same for my brother, and is definitely not the same for my sister. And the expectation is not the same. And sometimes, if I'm honest about it, I do feel like a little bit resentful towards them for that I had to kind of be up here and I had to be the standard for everybody else. And it's just like, sometimes I don't want to.
Yeah.
Having younger siblings, it's like you don't get to ask for it, but it's like, sometimes I don't want y'all to look up to me.
Yeah.
Because I want to go fuck up and make a mistake. And I can't, because everybody's eyes are on me.
Yeah.
Everybody is modeling their life path after what I do. And it's just like, I really don't have my shit together on the inside.
I gotta make it look like it.
I gotta make it look like I gotta make it look like everything is together. And in my adulthood, I feel like I'm trying to really work it, like really focus on not doing that and not just making everything look pretty and presentable and just like I'm fine kind of attitude. But it is definitely probably the most challenging thing to overcome, because that's all that I know how to do. I just know how to just be like, I'm good, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out. Everything will just be fine, because I'm going to make it fine. You know, I'm going to work my ass off. I'm not going to fuck up. I'm not going to make a mistake. And that should really be hard. And it's very difficult to try to undo all the shit that you wish didn't happen. Now, I don't know how my life would have turned out. I guess in essence, I turned out fine, but still, it doesn't erase all the other shit that I had to go through and still go through to be where I'm at right now.
It's so crazy. It's like the whole I turned out fine thing, because it's like, yes, I turned out fine, but for me, I feel like emotionally I'm fucked up. Like, I feel like in my 20s I like had to relearn or become emotionally intelligent and figure out, like, okay, this is why you are the way that you are.
Yeah.
And it's always childhood and daddy issues, honestly. Let's just be for real.
Yeah.
And Teray and I have a very similar upbringing, but we went about it in very different ways. So I'm the oldest of technically 3. Also have a bonus sister, and then I have another brother from my biological dad. So normally if I say my mom and my dad, I'm talking about my mom and my stepdad, who raised me since I was 6. Yeah, about 6. So first, it was me and my mom. First 5 years, she was a teenage mom. My biological dad, he was young. He lived his life. I had a relationship with his family, but our relationship wasn't really existent from my memory. And I have a pretty good memory. It's like I've always known who he was, but it's just like, okay, yeah, that's just who he is. I can't say like, oh, that's my dad sort of thing. And then, you know, my brother came along, then my mom got married, and then my other brother came along. So it's a 5-year gap and then 9-year gap. And I feel like because my mom was a single mom for the first, you know, couple of years, and a teenage mom who was in school, working multiple jobs. She had help, but the help was conditional. Like, of course, your family is going to help you, but it's always like, you can't depend on whoever. So a lot of times I would be with my mom while she was at work or at nursing school and doing this and doing that. And then once my other siblings came along, yes, I was changing diapers at 6 years old. Yes, I was helping my mom do this or do that, because I think it's not like she told me, oh, Sierra, you have to be responsible and you have to help me. It's just like, who wants to see their mother struggle? Like, nobody. And then, of course, when my stepdad came along and he's there, it's like they're both constantly working to provide for this household and all these kids. They were both young. So even now, my mom's 47? Like, they're not even 50 yet. So it's just kind of like, when I think about it, I don't necessarily like, I think about it in the aspect of like, I don't blame y'all for what y'all had to do, but it's also like, damn, I also wish that like it was a more parental presence like y'all were there, but it was like you're always working. And when you're not working, mama got to have a life too. Like my mom, she had friends and they would hang out with their friends. Like they have like couple friends, you know, here and there, or they would be in church all the time, which means we're in church all the time. So it's either work or church. That's pretty much it. And I feel like the pressure that I had on me wasn't because like, oh, my mom was like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. It was more so the family members around who made my mother feel like, yeah, you fucked up your life and had all these kids before you were supposed to. Now watch, your daughter's going to do the same shit. So for me, it was like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. My mom let me be very expressive. She let me dress and wear what I wanted to wear. But then I would start retreating back and not doing that because family members would look at my mom and be like, oh, your daughter, she's too grown. Like, you letting her be fast. Watch, she's going to have a baby when she's 15. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Because I'm wearing a crop top and I got some pink highlights in my hair. Like, at what age are you supposed to do these things? I'm 15. Yeah. Like, I don't understand. And as far as the responsibility part, it's like, my parents never told me to do these things. I just took on the responsibility because I felt like, okay, well, they're not home, they're at work. So who else is going to do it? Like, yes, I'm asking my parents for money so we can go to the grocery store and I'll cook dinner, or I'll make sure my siblings' homework is done and this, that, and the third. It's almost like I was the third parent. Even now to this day, my brothers, they call me before they call my parents. And it's so annoying because I'm like, you have parents, call them. And they're like, oh no, we have to call you first. Why? I'm not your mom. So I feel like I feel like Teray took the route of like, no shades for him, I'm just saying, you conformed, whereas me, I said, fuck this, I'm rebelling. So in my teenage years, I was very rebellious. I'm like, yes, I'm getting good grades, so nobody can tell me nothing. My schoolwork is done. I have money, whether it's my little babysitting business or working at Dairy Queen or wherever. I had my own income and I was doing what I needed to do. So if I want to go out on the weekends, fine, I'll babysit your kids, but I'm leaving, whether y'all home or not. So if that's sneaking out, then I guess I was sneaking out. I'm going. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I didn't want to miss out on my like teenage years because I had to be responsible. So I just straight up rebelled. I really didn't give a damn. And at one point, if you ask my parents, it got a little out of control. But that was only because they were so used to me just being responsible. So when I got to the point of like, I don't want to be Miss Goody Two Shoes and Miss Responsible, they just ain't nothing they could do. Because at that point, I graduated high school a year early, not because, oh, I'm a genius. Yes, I'm smart, but I had the option. Do you stay at home and do these 2 little classes, or do you go to college and start your life and learn and explore? I said, I'm the fuck out of here. Like, why would I stay? So I feel like when I went to college, that's why when I was like, you know what, let me turn it up a notch. Ain't nobody here that I have to be responsible for. There's nobody I have to babysit. There's nobody I have to answer to. I'm going to do what I want, wear what I want, say what I want, whatever. And of course, you know, especially HBCU life, like that first semester is always crazy for everybody. I mean, what class? Why would you let me take an 8 a.m. class? Like, be for real. Of course, I'm not going to do great. It's 8 a.m. Like, anyway. But, yeah, I mean, I ended up getting it together perfectly fine. But, yeah, I feel like I just decided to rebel. And even now when I have certain conversations with my parents, they'll laugh. Because I'll tell Matt, like, yeah, when I was this age, I was doing this, and this. And he's like, no, you weren't. And I'm like, yes, I was. And when my parents confirm it, they laugh. But most people look at it and it's like, why was you 8 years old doing that? Why would you get what I'm saying? And people don't understand, especially people who, 1, don't have teenage parents, and 2, are not the oldest sibling, especially when you're a girl. Like, you just don't understand. And I think that like mainly my daddy issues gave me a little bit of childhood trauma, but being the oldest sibling definitely gave me that trauma to the point where I'm not super pressed to like, oh, have another baby, but it has been like in my mind, like time is ticking, like Celine's about to be 2. I don't want my kids to have a huge age gap because I don't want them to, or want me to unknowingly put that pressure on them of being responsible and being the big sister and being this and being that. If y'all only 2-3 years apart, like, I mean, how much big sistering you doing? Like, you know what I mean? But when you
Yeah.
get to that shaky age, it's just like, I don't know. So I feel like for me, being a parent has like brought all those different childhood traumas or things that I wish were differently in my childhood up. And it's like I'm constantly trying to like reinvent the wheel or unteach myself certain things, like even down to being married. Like growing up, I was taught don't depend on a man for nothing, whether that's because my own biological father was not dependable and wasn't there, or because my stepdad taught me like, you're strong, you a strong Black woman. Like I'm 8, I'm not a strong Black woman, okay? Like but he definitely, both my parents were like, you don't need a man for nothing, you're gonna get your education, you're gonna be the rich man. And so like being married now to a man who has always, even from a young age, been like, I got it, like let me help you, that was a huge struggle for me to just be like, oh, let him help me sort of thing. It has always been like I don't need nobody type of thing. I don't ask nobody for help, because who's supposed to help me when I'm the person who's helping everybody else? So honestly, my 20s have been unlearning so many things. And I think stepping into 30, I'm finally like, the girls call it soft life, but I just call it like, I'm just me. Like, I don't want to be anything else but me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be having to think about all these lessons that I already unlearned. So it's a crazy thing being the oldest child.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know. I kind of look back on it, and sometimes I don't want to put a name to it out of partly just protecting everybody's feelings. Like, I don't want anybody to be upset. And I feel like that's another thing that I kind of did as a kid. Like, I don't want anybody to be upset. So if I can kind of just do what I'm supposed to do and stay out of the way, nobody's going to be upset at me. But, you know, if I'm honest about it, I feel like part of the reason that I suffered so much with depression and anxiety definitely has to do a lot with my upbringing. And I dealt with it. Shit, I still deal with it now. So I would say it's probably been a consistent 15 years. That is something that I actively have to, one, recognize and, you know, try to work on it. But it took me a long time to even want to put a name to it. And sometimes, you know, when I say this, like, well, why are you depressed? What do you have to be depressed about? And it's just like, do we really want to talk about it?
I would say, if you really want to go down the list.
If we really want to go down the rabbit hole, a lot. And sometimes it's just like, you know, like I said, it's not from a means of trying to hurt someone's feelings, but this is my reality. Like, this is what it is. So yeah, I got, I guess, good life skills. Like, I could cook my ass off, but I was consistently making dinner for everyone. Like, there's a lot of moving parts when you have parents who have to work. You have kids that have activities. Both my siblings are in activities. I didn't really have no activities like that. But also, I don't feel like where was the time for me to have any activities? I did have a sewing teacher once. Like, she would come to my house, and that, I think that was just the ADHD thing. Like, I did it. Okay, cool. Done with that. You don't really need lessons consistently. I could sew some shit if I really needed to on a machine. But outside of that, I didn't really have any like activities or anything like that. My sister is a dancer. So like, anybody who's ever taken any kind of like intense ballet, jazz, all those things, like, it's a consistent thing. You do this every single day. It is no days off. 6 days a week. She was at somebody's dance class, multiple classes for hours, which requires somebody to be there. Somebody got to drop her off. Somebody got to pick her up. And times that will be me. Times that will be my mom. Okay, if it's my mom, somebody got to make food. That's me. I could cook for 5 people, like literally to the point where I did not know, like when I finally moved out, I did not know how to cook for 2 people. I only know how to cook for 5 or 1. I can't do it. I only know how to make large batches of food. I not even finally figured it out. I still go like, ooh, that was too much food this time. Did it again. I, you know, but it's like one of those things that you're just kind of trained to just know how to do. Yeah. Even though no one's saying like, hey, I need you to be responsible for making dinner every single day. How the fuck else we finna eat? Somebody. And we can't just be in here eating ramen every damn day.
And it's so funny. I always like joke and be like, oh, Celine, you got to earn your keep. And then I stop myself and be like, no, she's just a kid. Even though I know I'm joking, it's like ingrained in my head that like, you got to contribute to this household some sort of way. So it's
when
like,
really you, as a child, you don't have to. The only thing you need to do, clean your space up when you're old enough.
Yeah.
Like Harper's 5. So clean your room. But and feed the dog. Outside of that,
I mean, you need a little chore, but not, you
yeah,
know.
like at her age, you need a little bit of just like household help. But I never want her to feel like she has to go above and beyond what her place is. Like, you're the kid. It's not your responsibility. And I mean, I don't have any extra children. I have no desire to have any more children. And maybe this is a part of it. Maybe it's a part of why I don't want to have any more kids. Because I don't want her to have that.
I could see that.
Or even feel like you need to help out, because she would be significantly older. She's 5, going to be 6 this year. So even if I did have another kid, you would be at least 7 years older than the next kid. There would be such a age gap in between. I just don't want her to have that. Like, I want her to live her life and just be a kid. Of course, try to not fuck up as much as possible. Like, don't make no mistakes that we can't fix or you can't take it back.
But I feel like at the end of the day, the reason why, like, there are so many things that like I feel a way about regarding my childhood, right? But I think that I have so much grace for my parents in general because, one, I know they did the best that they could at the time, and they didn't have like the education that I have. And honestly, neither one of my parents, meaning my mom and my stepdad, they didn't grow up with their parents. They both were raised by their grandparents for different circumstances. But it's like, it's teenage parents being parents when they didn't even have no parents. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think a lot of their parenting style was like maybe trying to be the parents that they wish they had, but at the same time, they don't really have the time to invest in said kids because they have to take care of them and work and earn an honest living and all these things. And I don't know. I think it's just such a strange thing because I never really get upset at my parents, except the only time I get upset is when it's kind of like they'll make a joke about like, oh yeah, Sierra's always been this way. And it's just like, well, I had to be this way because y'all were always at work. Or the simple fact of like, my siblings, like they have completely different parents than I did. Like them niggas, I always call them niggas. I told my parents, I was like, get y'all kids, you know? But they didn't have the pressure that I have. And I mean, growing up in my household, it was my 2 brothers, but it's like, okay, did they not have this level of pressure because they were boys, or because with them growing up and going through their teenage years, my parents weren't struggling? Now, I don't know how much they were struggling when I was a teenager because we didn't go without nothing because my parents were hustlers, but not legal hustling. Okay. But, legal. Okay. But my brothers, I feel like they were very spoiled and privileged in the fact of like, they didn't have to do a damn thing. They didn't even know how to do laundry until I went to college probably, or until they were teenagers. You get what I'm saying? Like they didn't have to do anything. As far as like, you know, life skills type of thing. So now that they're adults and they just living how these Gen Zs live, in my mind, I'm like, well, they always been that way. And now that you guys are a little bit older and more settled, now you're looking at these kids like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? I raised you better than this. And it's like, yeah, you did, but you also didn't have the time to really beat their ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's what they needed. They needed their ass beat. They still do.
All right, Michelle, so tell us your childhood trauma. No, I'm joking.
I'm screaming. Yeah, it's really traumatic. No, my mom, she wasn't a teen mom. She had me when she was 25, and my dad was, I think they're like 12 years apart, well, 11 years apart. So my father was well into parenthood. There are 6 children that came before me. So yeah, 6. So for the most part, my mom, like, she was already working. She was like well established by then. But It did make it easier. I think that one of the highlights of my childhood would be that I didn't really see my mother as a person until I got to college, because I didn't see her in any role. And I think that that is something that can be kind of, I think debilitating is like a dramatic word, but it can make it very difficult to navigate through life without really seeing who your parent is. Like, I've always just seen her as a mother. She got up, she went to work, went to go get her hair done. She made sure that we went to Disney World. We were always busy. We were in camp, but like, can't say that I seen her as a person in between that. She always had help. Like, she took care of her siblings' kids. My cousins lived with us at a time. But yeah, she's always been a mother and a wife. And I think that as an adult or a young adult, that's why it got so difficult. And I started to like look at my experience as like, ugh, like, girl, what the fuck? Stand up. Because being that she's always been a wife, when I was in college, she got divorced. And that was the first time like we was like flat on our ass, because my childhood has been, we got money to go out to eat. My mother had a candy apple red Lexus. She always kept her hair done. We lived in a condo. And then she got with this man, and like her whole life kind of like went upside down. And I really was like upset with her for a very long time, especially after him, because she just could not get herself back together. And I don't know if you've been through heartbreak, like kind of what that looks like. But for me, it impacted me in this way where I knew that I didn't always want to be just a mother and be somebody's wife.
Because the
At least since
aftermath.
then, yeah, like, I don't want to be just somebody's mother and somebody's wife. So I think a lot of the things that I like strive for after, I feel like that's where our relationship started. Our relationship really started like when I went away to college, and I kind of had to be her, I don't know, I guess like had to be her crutch, like, or be her person to lean on. And like, she put so much into me to always like, even before they got a divorce, always put so much into me for me to be a part of this club. And when I decided I wanted to model, when I wanted to be a dancer, when I wanted to be in this or that club, play basketball, cheerlead, she was always there to support me. But like, it was kind of amplified when I went off to college, and I'm like, oh, I have these ambitions to do this and that. I took it, I think, then as, you're just being a mother. But I think when I became a mother a couple years later, it kind of became more obvious that it was like, damn, my mother has never done anything but belong to somebody else. And so now she's having a hard time kind of pulling away from that. And I guess to some people that wouldn't be traumatic, but or it wouldn't cause issues, but it has caused like it has definitely caused issues in our relationship. Because my mother's not old. She's like y'all parents. She's in her 50s, early 50s, mid 50s. And well, no, Sierra, is your mother even 50 yet?
Nope.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
my mom's in her
mine ain't 50
50s.
yet.
Yeah, my mom's in her 50s, and it's just been hard to like tell her like, hey, I have my life and I plan to live a whole life. Like, I'm not married now, and I think for a lot of the women in my family, they've all gotten married early, so like they're not amused by the fact that like I have this success and I'm able to do things. I have passion about things that are not just rooted in being somebody's wife and mother, and that has caused like a really big strain. So like, whereas I look back at my childhood and I'm like, oh, it was great. Like, this was nice. I did not see struggle in my adulthood. Like, for all of the reasons why I guess we didn't see struggle, it's like, yeah, but everything wasn't done perfectly. And it's just, I think it's difficult. And that's why, like, in the beginning, I was like, we will make decisions that are not like the ones that our parents made. It doesn't make you a bad parent. It's just like, understand why I'm not trying to make those same decisions. Like, I think that it has a lot to do with the fact that I go so hard for my daughter to be more comfortable, because as an adult, sure, I guess I'm outspoken to some people, but like, sure, I'm outspoken to some people, but there are a lot of times that as a child, I didn't have the space to speak up for myself, and that has trickled into my adulthood. to me. So I'm real big on, like, I always, when my daughter gets older, I always want her to be like, have a safe space to say what she wants to. And like, I'm always on 10 about her because I didn't always feel protected as a child. I always felt like just the women in general in my family have been like, you know, stay in the child's place and all these like very misogynistic outlooks on life, because being a wife and being a mother has been the focal point of their life. And you know, I think people will listen to this and feel like, oh, that's too like feminist, or like, you know, forward thinking, or she like being anti mother and wife. Like, that's not it at all. Like, my desire is to someday be a wife. But that just ain't it. Like, that's not all I ever want to be. And seeing kind of how our relationship was impacted by that shift in her life, yeah, it's really fucked me up. It's fucked me up, especially in trying to, I think, raise a daughter and her seeing like I don't agree with a lot of stuff that she has to say about like the way I raise her, or even the way I navigate through my own life. Whew. And like, when I ask her, she'll say things like, you know, I'm proud of you. I'm very proud. You're everything that I never was. So like, she acknowledges it, but I think while I'm like peeling back the layers as a younger person, her trying to peel back the layers and like understand why I have this outlook is harder, because now she has to look herself in the mirror. So listening to y'all talk about y'all childhood, it's like I ain't have those experiences, but like I definitely had it on the back end. It definitely like hasn't impacted my external relationships, my relationship with myself. And then there's my daddy issues, which thankfully have changed over time. But we could be here all day talking about my daddy issues. Like, I think that being the baby on his side, I still have had to show up as the oldest because I'm the only girl. And my father was a Rolling Stone. He had children. Each of his children have their own mother, so he spread his royal oats everywhere. And he was not.
I'm trying to not make a joke, and here you are cracking jokes.
Everything's a joke to me.
So unserious. Oh my God.
I mean,
not
like,
the
I can laugh
oatmeal
about
spill.
it. But like, one of my older brothers I met when I was in college, and he messaged me on Facebook, and I was like, "You look familiar." He looked just like my father, but they don't have a relationship at all. So like, a lot of my adulthood has been trying to navigate like, how do I sustain these relationships with my brothers? And I shouldn't be doing that. Like, that's the fault of a grown ass man. You had these children, and your children are not only trying to navigate relationships with each other, but they're trying to figure out like, how do I forgive this man who robbed me of a fatherhood? You okay, Ciara?
My phone started vibrating and it fell. What the hell?
Yo, your phone is wilding today.
And it's big. Trying to navigate a relationship with grown people who have big feelings as adults. Like, my oldest brother is very close to age with my mother. Like, my father's 65. So it is, I think it's a journey, especially like when me and my dad were just laughing about this because we were comparing it to the conversation that what's his name, Shalom, Monique's son was having. And I was like, you know, if it had not been for your granddaughter, me and you would not have a relationship. And he was like, well, why would you say that? I said, that was your last strike with me. Like, I did not have that forgiveness in me anymore. Like, when I was pregnant, it was fuck everybody. And I'm grateful for that because it got some people in line, but it's just certain things that I don't want to trickle into my daughter's life. And y'all were talking about, like, well, Teray mentioned that the things that her parents did, they did it so that they could kind of correct their own life, or like keep her from making the same mistakes. I think that the internal conflict that I constantly have is, am I trying to make everything too right? Am I not going to leave her space and opportunity to make her own mistakes, for her to live life? Am I being a helicopter mom? But it's really all out of protection. I want to be all of these things because I don't want my child to look back and be like, damn, mommy ain't live a life, or, you know, mommy is living with regret, or she didn't get to pursue her passions. And now I'm 25 and I want to live my life, and she hanging on my coattail. Which, if I'm being completely honest, that's how I feel as a daughter sometimes. So it's yeah, it's so
That's
much
interesting
fun.
that you say that. I feel like even now that you're bringing it up, when I think about like my mom and I's relationship, it's a huge part of my life where I feel like she didn't know me. Like, I feel like for when I hit maybe like 15 to probably like 22, I don't think my mom knew who I was. Like, obviously she knows me, but like as a person, we didn't have that relationship until I was big grown, and I just like made it my business. Like, okay, like mom, like, not who are you, because I got to see her grow up, but it's more so like, okay, you're very successful in your own right when it comes to business and stuff like that, but it's like, why are you the type of mom that you are? Like, why are you the type of wife that you are? Why are you the type of woman that you are? So I feel like I got to like get to know her in a way that she probably wasn't really paying attention to, like certain things that I would ask her or say or do. And I think that has helped our relationship, because now it's like we're friends. Even though she said she don't want to be my little friend, when I wanted her to be my little friend when I was 15, now we're friends. So it's an interesting thing. And even when you brought up like your relationship with your father, your father. So my biological father, we have like a weird relationship, because no offense to that man, but we have a good relationship now, meaning we're in more so of communication. But I've never looked at him like that's my father. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you're my father, but I talk to him as if I'm talking to like my peer. You get what I'm saying? That doesn't mean I don't respect him. It's just I've never seen you in a fatherly role or in a father aspect pertaining to me. So it's like I don't see him that way. So even honestly, I feel like once I had Celine, or once I was pregnant with Celine, our relationship got better, because he did like apologize for a lot of things and try to like right his wrongs. Like, he's way more communicative, if that's a word, now than he was. Like, I feel like as a child, I'm sitting here chasing a relationship with my parent who's not reciprocating. Whereas now it's like, okay, like I know if I don't call him, he's going to at least call me once this week. Whether that's to check on me, check on Matt, or check on Celine, or all of us, or just to talk, because he's going through his own things in life. And all of a sudden sometimes I feel like the parent, because now he's talking to me about things, and it's like, well, what do you think? And it's like, wow, you're asking me, what do I think? Like, this is interesting. I don't know. I feel like that's even another responsibility of being the oldest child, because he has a son who he raised and lived in a household with. And I don't know, but I don't think they have those types of conversations. So
I think a pain point for me, like, I guess, is being the oldest child is I don't feel like it has to be perfect. Like, I think the first time that I guess I thought about being an oldest child and how how I live my life impacts my sister was when I got pregnant. And I called her, like, I think the next morning after I found out I was pregnant, and I told her, and she was like, oh, like, okay, like, well, you're an adult. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm 24. What do you
like,
mean?
yeah.
And she was like, well, what you scared to tell mommy? I'm like, no, I'm not scared. Like, I am an adult. Like, I live on my own. I've been taking care of myself. And I'm miles away. She can't do nothing anyway. But I felt like I failed her, because she had always looked up to me like, oh, Michelle, she's in high school, she's in all these clubs, she's popular, she went to college and she did all of this stuff, she graduated from college, and then boom, I have a baby. Like, I was engaged and I had a baby, but like that wasn't how it was supposed to go. My sister was supposed to be standing next to me at my wedding. So I was feeling I was feeling like a teen parent. Like, I really was feeling like a teen parent at that point. Like, that shame, I guess, that you carry when you have a child that young. And I felt like I failed her.
Are you okay? And this goes back to, I think, the upbringing and the churchy side. You're more so saying that not because of your age, but because of your relationship status.
Yes. So because of my relationship status, And also, I think because all my other like first cousins, they had kids when they were younger. So I did carry this like, oh, I have to do everything like the right way because like I was, and y'all can relate. Like I am on the side of the family where people like, oh, that's the bougie side.
Oh yeah.
So Michelle, pregnant, having a baby, and you're not married, like it kind of carries some shame. And I mean, I have a better relationship with my cousins now, where like I know that for the most part they don't say nothing to me, but like they don't feel that way. They still see me like, you're doing a good job, stuff like that. Like we have better relationships, but I carry that shame. And like it wasn't until the other day my sister was like, Michelle, like we were at family learning night, and she was like, Michelle, you do a great job with Mia. Like you're doing a good job. You make all the right decisions for her, like bigging me up. And I'm just looking at her like, like
Like
I
me?
felt like I really, yeah. I'm like, I felt like I fell. Like, for people who don't know us, like I moved back home. Like I moved back home after I had Mia, and my family, we've been living in a house together for a couple years since she was a baby. Like I've been living with my family for years, and like it took me a while to realize like my family has done this for generations. Like my grandmother, her two daughters, it was a lot of kids. I don't know. My grandmother had a million kids, but they've always lived like in a 3-family house, and then these people lived in a 6-family house. I didn't even know those existed. They've always lived, if they didn't live in like a 3-family and it was 3 floors, and this person, her kids, and their kids like up and down, they've always lived in the same spaces. So when I moved back home, they were like, just take it as that. Like, we've always done generational homes and stuff like that. But like, even that carried a shame, because I'm like, yeah, but my mother wasn't a part of that. My mother has always like did her own thing. So like a lot of it was like my relationship status, and then the other half of it was like I was trying to follow my mother's footsteps. I wanted to wait until I was 25. I wanted to have my own house, my own car. I wanted to be married. Then I wanted to have a baby. And it was like, you're nothing like your mother. And that's not a bad thing. Like, but I learned so late who she really is. And I'm not saying like she's a horrible person. I think that she used the tools that she had, and then them just think the tools. Like I don't want the monkey wrench. Like them not gonna be my tools. So ooh, I feel like I just wrote in my diary.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of relate. It's just like when you only see one set way of doing things, you kind of are accustomed to just like, okay, well, this is just how you're supposed to live your life. These are the steps that you're supposed to follow. Or you kind of follow what people tell you you're supposed to do. If you're supposed to find a man, get married, have all of these different things in order, and then have kids, when you do something out of order, it's like, oh, wait, now I'm embarrassed because why I did it out of order. And that's not how I was raised, or that's not what I know the expectation is. So it can be really difficult. I was even like telling Nana the other day, like when she was here, I was saying how like knowing what I know now at 30, I would not have chosen to have a baby at 25.
I'm trying to tell you, and I ain't even 30 yet. Y'all wouldn't have got to a baby.
And not chosen that from a place of like, oh well, I just was too young. It like, because it was Harper was very planned out. Like it was on purpose. It wasn't like, oh well, I'm pregnant, so let's just. It wasn't a whoopsie. Like, okay, well, here we go. It was a very like planned out thing, but it was planned out in a way that I didn't know anything else. Knowing what I know now, I would have waited to have children. I probably would just be having her now, because the things that I want to do now and the things that I would like for her to be able to do, like I want her to just live her life, go out, travel. Y'all know me the way I am right now. Could you imagine me at 22 to 25? I would have never been in the United States. I would have never been in the United States ever. I'm gone.
Yeah, there may be no children.
Yeah, FaceTime me. I am on somebody's beach. I'm on a plane somewhere. I'm not accessible, because that's just what I feel like now, that not necessarily that I've missed out on. Like I can still travel. I still do travel right now, but it's a little bit different because I have a child. So especially now who's school age, we can't just be like, oh, it's middle of September, let's roll. No, there's school. So we got to plan around the times where she's actually not in school. I would have done that differently. But I didn't know nobody that did that. The only person that I knew that traveled young was my godmother. Like I feel like she went everywhere. Like she was the only person that I knew about. Oh, I've been to Egypt. I've been to London. I've been here. I've been to Costa Rica. I've done all of these different things without having any children. And I'm like, that's the only person that I knew. So growing up, it's just like because I feel like I lived a lot of things so fast. Once I graduated, I went and got my master's degree. I was already a couple years into my career at that point. I was moving up the corporate ladder by the time I had Harper. I had bought a house. I had did all these things. And it's just like, okay, well, now is the time we're supposed to have
a kid, I guess.
Yeah, the only thing left is like, hey, let's check this box. Done. Right. When really, no, I didn't have to do that. I could have done other things. I just didn't know that you could do those things.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with the checklist. Like,
I live my life very. Yeah, like I'm very type A. I am a checklist mommy. Like, like I'm like, okay. And anytime there's any kind of disruption or a shift, and I'm like, oh, I skipped a step. Everything is out of order.
It don't seem like is right. Yeah,
it's not right. And now I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I correct this? Because now somebody's going to be disappointed because I did not do the shit in the proper order. I have to fix this.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Michelle has said something about like the whole comment about being like not being married, right? Now, I always said like I didn't want to have any kids until I was married, but it didn't really click in my head as to why until I actually had a child. For me, it wasn't really the whole religious shacking up because, I mean, let's be real. Matt and I lived together since 2016. We were not married. We weren't engaged. We were finishing college. But, hey, that's the best roommate I ever have. Sorry. Love you both. But I think for me, I always said that, not necessarily because of my family, because let's be for real. Most of the women in my family aren't married. And if they've ever been married, they're divorced. So it's like, that wasn't really it. For me, it was the mental warp of the idea that if I'm married, then my child would have a father. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, granted, I mean, you could always get divorced. And if that nigga want to be a deadbeat, then hey. But something in my mind was just like, okay, you know, I felt like I didn't have a relationship with my father because he wasn't in a relationship with my mother. And the only way to secure that is to be married before you have kids, which is really stupid because even married women could be single mothers. Thank God that's not my story, but it's just all kind of like rolling in my head like, damn, that's a fucked up way of thinking, but that's really how I felt as to why I did not want to have a child before marriage. That's so fucked up.
And you know, it's I think by now people who listen to this podcast, they're part of the family. I think that was my reason for leaving my relationship. Like that was a major part of my relationship because I seen the place that it was going. And I was like, y'all know, like that really broke me because I was like, damn, I broke that. I broke the norm. Like I was supposed to be married and having my daughter, but I realized like marriage is not gonna make you a good father.
It's not.
Like marriage, that wasn't the like sequence of the events, but like being married to you is not going to make this a better situation for our daughter.
Yeah,
you are going to be who you are regardless of whether or not we're married. And I would rather swallow myself and eat a jean jacket than to stay here to just say that I'm still with the father of my child, because I think that a lot of people do that. And I always people say like, oh, it's too many kids born out of wedlock, and I just be like, the kids in married households is going through it too, babes. Like, I don't know.
It's so crazy to think about. Like, when I think about a lot of the kids that I went to school with, the majority of them being white, growing up, they never had a relationship with their father like that, especially the girls. The boys might be different because, you know, the dads, they got the little sports thing going on. But most of the girls that I grew up with, it was kind of like, oh yeah, like my mom and my dad are married, but by the time we got to high school or college, their parents were divorced, and that relationship with their father was like single mothers who were married. And it's just so crazy because society like teaches you like, okay, you get married, you have the kids, and you know, be a good father,
Everything's
be a
supposed to
good
be
mother.
happy
And
after
that's
that.
not
You
how
should
it
have no
goes.
problems.
It's so
It's because
crazy
they
to
get
know.
swallowed into just belonging to their husbands and their children. One thing that I didn't want to do.
Yeah. And I think in reverse, I'll never forget, like, Michelle and I had this conversation eons ago, probably like 10 years ago. Well, maybe like 9, whatever. And she was just always getting on me like, you don't want to do nothing else but be a wife and a mother. And although I did have other aspirations, I'd be like, no, I just want to be a wife and a mother. But I think in my mind, it was just like, we did have that conversation. And it's like, although I've always been an ambitious person, I think at one point in my life while I was dealing with my childhood traumas in my own way, and my mind told me like the only way to be a good parent is to like have that type of like stay at home mom mentality, because obviously my mom was working. So I feel like there are a lot of things that like, I think a lot of the things that I do as a mom, my mom would have done if she was provided the opportunity to just focus on her kids.
Right.
So that's so interesting. Full circle moments, you know?
Yeah, like that was a good conversation to have. But maybe it was like a little premature, because I'm wondering like how you took that, because I wasn't saying like, bitch, get in the field. It was more like, I think that I was definitely projecting, because I seen that in my mother and I was like, yeah, no.
I didn't
was like,
take it in.
no.
I think at that point, I didn't take it in a bad way, but I think I did take it like, see, that's what's wrong with our generation. Nobody wants to be a wife and a mother. They just want to be whatever, like, you know, that whole thing. Which a part of me still kind of feels that way a little bit. Not about us, because there's nuance to the conversation, but I do think that like our generation of women have seen the women they grew up around just fall apart because of a man, that it's like, that's not going to be me. But I think we could go about it in a different way than a lot of us choose to.
People are very individualistic. Is that a word, Sarai? Our thesaurus.
She don't know no damn words.
Individualism.
So you asking me? Like, one thing I'm gonna do is make a word up, but
individualism.
So I'm gonna go with that. It sounds good.
It's at an all-time high, and I see it more often when people like. It's one thing to like not want children. It's another thing to just be like blatantly like, "Oh, I'm anti-children," and it's like, well,
so
how do you
many
think the world's
women
going
are
to
anti-children right now?
And I feel like that. I feel like it will change. I feel like parental structure. It definitely, and I think parental structure, and also the new age of social media, and even like we were talking earlier, like story times, like people actually telling their life stories, you know, so you're hearing a lot of different perspectives from complete strangers. It creates a lot of hyper independence. And I feel like part of me, I'm very hyper independent. Like I don't ask nobody for help, because in my mind, I really don't need it. Like I do though. But it's like you kind of train yourself that, okay, I can do everything that I need to do by myself. I don't need to have anything else. So I think a lot of people look at it as like, I don't need children to feel fulfilled. I want to live my life, so I don't need to do that. Or on the flip side, you have people who like eventually want children, but they're like, I don't want a man in order to have children. I just want to have a baby, and that's it. So you have some people that just, I feel like from our perspective, and especially like looking at our mothers, you have people that are just like, why would you want to be a single mother?
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that? But then now you have people actively are just trying to pursue being single mothers. And it's like, what kind of world are we living in? But I think that I think that it's kind of going back to what I said earlier. There's no instructions.
No.
For life. There's really no instructions. Everybody is doing trial and error. If you learn from what you see growing up, you learn from the people that you choose to surround yourself with. And over time, it's just like, oh, I don't like the way what y'all got going on over there. So I'm going to shape my life to do the opposite, because I don't like that. Even though you may not have the entire backstory to what you don't like, what you're seeing is like, I don't want to be that. So like from Michelle, from your perspective, there may have been things about your mom's relationship and your mom's marriage that you just didn't know. But in your mind, it's like, I don't want to only be a wife and a mother, because when if it's over, I don't have nothing.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
I gotta,
let's
now I
just be
gotta
honest.
be a real adult.
Yes.
Figuring myself out. And we can see that can be hard. Who wants to figure themselves out in their 50s? You would think, oh, I know exactly who I am.
But I think also her attitude towards like even marriage, and because I'm single, it's always been like, oh well, you need to, all the women in my family, oh, you need to find a man with money. And I'm like looking at it, I am the nigga with money. Like I why is that not enough for y'all? And it's not that I don't desire to be in a relationship, I don't desire to be married, but it's like, why do I have to have somebody fill in that space for me to be happy? And I don't want to get to that point where I am not happy unless somebody is filling the space, because when they're not there, and I've always been this thinker, like I'm thinking ahead, like I don't want to be empty when somebody leaves. And that has happened. Like I got abandonment issues. Thanks, Dad. But I don't want to go through that, following behind the way that my mother has done things. And also to add another layer to just like trauma that my mother has gifted with me with, like her second marriage was boo boo. Like my stepfather, he will not admit it to this day. He did not like me. My sister's father raised me. My dad was in jail, and for the most part, like I was Jamaican by association. That was my stepfather. But when my mother got married the second time, we were in church. We had never been like a part of the church before, so that was a new life. And I felt like once she met him in church, it was like we went from going to church sometimes to like we stepping. And I'm like, yo, your whole personality, you changing the shape of my whole childhood. I now have to morph into this church going, Bible thumping person because your marriage. And like a lot of the things that I was used to, he changed. He came into my life when I was like 11. And man, as a single mother, that shit scares me now, because I'm like, damn, do I really want somebody to come up in my shit and change how my child views her childhood, or views mommy, or like, how do I make space for another person if I have another kid? Like, how do I make sure that my child is not feeling neglected because they are not their child, or they're not the chosen one? Like they don't fit into like maybe what that person's idea of family looks like, because I'm not gonna blame it all on my mother. He sold a good ass story. Like he had his own child, and he was a family man. He was all these things. Cause I remember my mother coming home telling me like, oh yeah, like I met somebody, you know him. He's gonna be like coming around more often. He loves his family, and he's gonna love y'all. And it was Nightmare on Elm Street in that bitch. Like he really did not fuck with me. Like I was always on punishment. So like that shit was traumatic. Like that, I carried that for a very long time. Why am I on punishment all the time? Why are you always isolating me? Why, like, and my mother would like have to get on him, but it was stuff that he would say and do when she wasn't around that y'all know. For example, I love to sing. I stopped singing. I don't remember the last, like I sang for the first time again since I was younger in college,
When we
because he
all
told
found out you
me.
could sing.
Right. He told me.
We was all surprised. Like, did you know some bitches?
What the hell is that?
Listen, I was shocked that I could still sing at that point. But he told me that I could not sing again. I could never sing if I didn't sing gospel. So that shut me up for a long time. And like, I never talk about it because I honestly forgot until I started rambling on. But you see how I just like, I don't want that for my kids.
Yeah, I think for you it's different because you operate in from a different set of circumstances. You operating from a different lens of knowing, sometimes what some of the signs are just about when people come in and they're just controlling. When people come in and it's controlling, okay, being that, the person that you ultimately will find is going to have to step in and be a parent to me. And it's just like, okay, you have your own kind of layout for Mia's life right now, what she's accustomed to. And it's for that man that comes in to not necessarily be able to fall in line, but they kind of have to get with an established program. Like, yes, you can come in and have your own structure, because I do think it's always important for every single child to have a man in their life that's going to be a positive.
Right.
male figure, because it's different when it comes to male energy. It's just completely different. There are going to be things that he'll be able to do for her. He'll be able to teach her that you just will never be able to do because you are a woman. Just you just can't
like
do
how
it.
a man should treat a woman or respect
Exactly.
a woman,
And
any
those
woman
things
that's around.
and those things are not things that are just like, you're not going to read it in a book, or and those may not be things that he has to sit down and be like, okay, Mia, this is what should happen. These are things that you learn by watching.
Or seeing even how
You know,
he's
or
going to treat you.
Yeah. So so those things are just like, even through the dating process, you'll be able to know those signs up front because you already have experienced them. So you recognize what they look like.
Yeah.
And
Dang,
if
we
you
all
can
got
walk away
stepdaddies.
from
That's
your
crazy.
damn, just stealing each other's lives. But being able to walk away from your previous relationship, you already know you are capable of doing it. That if some shit not right,
Yeah.
guess what?
Yay,
I can
try
fucking
us.
leave. I can leave at any
Right.
moment. And that's something that a lot of people don't have. A lot of people literally can see that, okay, this shit is fucked up. This is really not what I want to do. This is really not how shit should be going. But a lot of people just don't have
the gumption to leave.
Some people don't have, to be like, fuck it, I'm out. I'm not a tree.
Going down,
and they be like,
let's go.
They just
down.
Grab your life vest.
They don't have it to be able to go. You do. So it's not something I think you need to kind of go into every situation with like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But when you see the first sign, it's time to bang head bounce up out of there. And you're capable of doing it. And those are, I think, lessons that you've learned in your life from watching your mother. Was just a learned lesson.
Yeah.
And you have already been able to put it in practice. Like, okay, clearly, check, got that lesson.
Yeah.
So you're not going to repeat the same cycle again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because the older women that I've talked to, like, I've known in the past have been like, oh, if you will leave at the first sight of something, then you ain't ready to be married. And I'd be like, that explains your marriage, huh? Like
some things are a one time, that's it. There is no, you get an opportunity, you could say so, no, some things are just,
and that thing
you
is
see
different
it
for everybody though. So it's like,
yes, it's different for everybody. So what one person will do and what one person will accept is unacceptable for the next person. And again, we are just living with no instructions. So there's no necessarily like right or wrong way to do it. You could live your life. And I think even from us as parents, even though we're talking about our parents, we're all going to make mistakes as parents. It's just, okay, well, what are we going to do when our child comes to us and says, I didn't like the way you fucking did this. How do we fix the situation?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a lesson.
Really,
that's a lesson from parents. Like, I have
that's
not
really
like y'all niggas.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really all that we could do is you can't do every single thing right. And I think that we are all three a example that you can't use other people to fix your life mistakes. And just because you did something doesn't mean that the people behind you are going to do the same thing.
Yes.
So in some instances, you got to let go just a little bit to really let people figure that shit out. I always looked at it like my relationship with my parents, and we always would have conversations about, different life lessons, but I don't really feel like they trusted me enough or trusted the job that they did to just let me go.
Yeah.
And that's probably the hardest part of why sometimes I still kind of like feel that resentment is like, you ain't trust yourself. So you damn sure couldn't trust me.
Right.
Cause I'm like, the shit y'all probably thought that I would have been doing, I wasn't fucking doing, and I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
Like, I had sex as a teenager when I was 16. One time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, done with that. Moving on.
Like,
I'm like, bruh,
like, was it? I'm never doing it again.
I just was just like, it was like one of those things like, oh, okay, let's scratch that off the list.
This what y'all was doing. Oh, here she goes to the list.
Not even that. To me, it was like My experience was similar to Teray. It was kind of like, okay, I did it. I'm not doing that shit again because I'm scared. Okay.
Mhm.
Like, God, thank you. I didn't get pregnant as a teenager, so I'm not doing it no more. I'm not going to do it no more.
Yeah, so it's
I
just
think
like
my
you did it and
experience
moved on.
is different. I did get pregnant when I was a teenager. And I think that this is something I can credit my mother for. Like, and I realized this the other day. I was having a conversation with one of my friends. She was like, "When did your mother start talking to you about sex?" And I was like, she opened the door whenever I was ready to. She was just like, when she started taking me to the gynecologist, or like when I started getting my period, rather, like, and I got a little older and I was like in high school and she suspected that I was having sex. She was like, you just need to let me know. Like, I can't stop you from doing nothing. Like, she was like, I was a child and we found a way. So, and my mother was tight. Like, to know my mother when I was in high school, it was like, let me speak to their mother. Where you going? No parties. Y'all taking a bus where? Be back at 8. Like, it was very, for me to still have experienced certain things. I did sneak around. I did go to my cousin's house and say I was going to be there. Like, I did stuff like that. But for the most part, she ran a tight ship. And she still knew she could not keep her eyes on me at all times.
Mhm.
So when my friend, she was just like, oh, you know, how did your mother talk to you about sex? And I was like, well, she was pretty open. And then like my high school sweetheart, my daughter's father, had a child in high school. And she was like, you just better not bring no baby in here. Like, about pregnancy, like, she was very clear. No babies, Michelle. Like, be so fucking for real. So then when I ended up getting pregnant, I didn't want to tell her. I told my cousin, and my cousin was like, well, I'll come with you. Like, my older cousins, they came to the house. We all sat down, and I told her, and I think somebody told her before I did, because when I see her, she was like, okay, like, how are you? Like, you okay? Like, how do you feel? And I told her, and like, she was like, you craving anything? I'll go get it for you. She was like, I'll give you a couple days. You let me know what you want to do. And I let her know what I wanted to do. I only got one kid, so y'all do the math. But I let her know. She took me, and she was just like, you got a decision. You can get on birth control, or you can choose to never do that again. She was like, I respect your decision. Again, I can't watch you everywhere you go. She was upset, like, for sure upset with me. But she didn't make me feel like I was any different. Like, I was still her child. And she was like, you need to go to the doctor. If you're going to be having sex, you need to make sure you do this. You need to protect yourself, X, Y, and Z. Like, it was not the way that I envisioned myself talking about sex, but I'm glad that, like, sex has never been an uncomfortable conversation for us, because in general, as I got older and I started like going out places, those conversations weren't uncomfortable. And I see all that to say, like, I see how when I meet adults who are not able to have conversations like that with their parents, you can tell because their parents are like uptight, or like they have just never been able to have many conversations with them. And I'm not talking about like, oh, mom, you suck because you did X, Y, and Z. Like, they can't talk about Nathaniel. They can't explain why the fucking sky is blue because their parents are going to oppose them and say it's green. Like, I can just tell the difference. So I applaud her for that. I mean, I should have been pregnant at that age, but I applaud her for handling that, because I say what I want to do with my child, but Lord knows, if that skinny motherfucker come up in the house talking about she pregnant, y'all might have to throw some holy water on me. All right.
Now you're going to need an exorcism. That's funny. My mother and I never had a conversation about sex, even to this day. Like, even she told me out of her own mouth that when I told her and my father that I was pregnant at my big grown age, she went and told my father they had sex. I was married and grown. Okay.
What?
Jenny,
be so
mind
serious.
you,
Be so for real.
your period. They were asking if your period came when we were at her birthday party.
Yeah, I know, but we've never had the sex conversation. My mom found out I wasn't a virgin because she asked me, and I told her because I didn't care. Like, if you ask me something, I'm going to tell you. But after that, we've never talked about it again. We've never talked about it ever. So that's funny.
And see, me and my parents never had that conversation. If my mom listens to this, then she'll find out I lost my virginity at 16. But other than that,
my mother still don't know the details, and that'll
be news to her. So sometimes I feel like I feel like now.
So wait, she gonna be like this when she see you. Like, why would you tell me?
And then you're gonna bring me into it. Now she's gonna want to yoke me up too, like I did something.
You knew.
Listen, she can't put her hands on you.
I didn't even know you that.
I'm telling you, that lady put her hands on me.
No,
I'm telling you, she gonna be like,
Sierra is innocent. She had nothing to do with that. But I feel like now is the time. Either we're gonna have like fully transition into adult relationship or not. You know? And because I feel like she said it to me before, like just in relation to the podcast, that like, damn, I really don't know you. And I'm like, probably not.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's certain things I'm very much, if you ask, I'll tell you.
Right. Same.
It's not a secret. If you ask, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't like naturally come up, then I don't know how you would ever know. And it's not a thing that's unique to her. It is everybody across the board. If you ask me, at this stage of my life, I ain't got shit to be lying about. Let me tell you. I don't have the capacity to lie. I don't even know. I just hope this doesn't cause discourse. But also, I mean, it is what it is. I ain't lie.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna talk about it, then we're gonna talk about it. Like we said in the beginning, this is not from a place of like condemning anyone. Some shit you can only deal with the cards you're dealt. You can only play with the cards you're dealt. That's it. Sometimes you have an excellent hand and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
It's all that you can do. It's just a matter of how you improve going forward. Now, having other siblings, I will hope that their experience when they're able, whenever they want to share that it's different and they feel like they turned out better. But I feel like everybody goes and has their own different experiences. I can't speak to their shit. I can only speak to, I hope their experience isn't mine, and in the areas that could have been better were better for them. I hope that the paths that they choose in life, they're learning to operate from their own shit. That's really the only advice that I could give to my siblings is don't look at me to be your roadmap. If you want advice or anything, you could pick up the phone, you could call me, beat me if you want to reach me. I can offer that to you, but don't try to just copy and paste and insert yourself into what I'm doing, because to the general public and to them, it's like you only see essentially what I let you see.
Yeah.
All the other back shit that had to go on or that does go on, you don't know about it. So trying to just emulate what you see, it's not always real. Yeah. And and I don't mean that to sound like a bad thing, like I'm just like perpetrating a fraud. Yeah. But it is
there's
what
context.
It is. There's context behind it. The way that I do things, the way that I am, shit is for a reason, regardless of if I put all of that out or if I don't. Yeah. Everybody should just be your own people, and I feel like other people's life lessons should only be for support. It's not anyone else's job to live the life that you feel like you wanted to. You got your opportunity. Whatever you did with it is what you did with it. Now my life is mine.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to want to ask my sister too, like, because I think when we think about younger siblings, we feel like our parents kind of were more relaxed, especially that's what I think about mine. My mother was like a lot more relaxed. Like my sister was able to like say anything, like she got away with murder. But also like, I know my sister, we've talked about it. My sister felt like she lacked structure as a child. Like shit was haywire. And she was like, you thought I was getting away with stuff, but it was because I was on the fritz. Like, our household wasn't as organized as it was when you were a child. Or like I was right in the middle of a divorce. I was the kid that came in like right in the middle of a divorce, and so like they may have their own experiences, and that's why it's important like not to compare, because what I've taken from my experience, you may not take from yours, or you have your own story. And I think it's so important for our parents to understand this when we say, your kids they get a different set of parents.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be the same. They're not going to have the same experience. So you need to hear each child out and hear about what they have to say so that you can figure out how to now cultivate that stronger adult relationship, because we are 3 different people or 2 different people. One, it's just different.
Yeah, I think that is well said.
I'm excited to hear about I've had these conversations with my mom. I wrote a book and I talk shit about her a little bit. So I've had these conversations with her before. I'm serious. And she know how I feel. Yeah, she know how I feel. I can't even say there's anything that we haven't touched on. But it still comes up. Rest assured, it still come up. We still be beefing for sure about these things because it takes some time. So I'm pretty sure that y'all will have conversations with y'all moms, and it may be some things that they don't agree with, or not agree with. They have questions about, because this will be them hearing about themselves probably for the first time. But it's gonna be worth it, because I love getting in my mama ass. I'm about to get in her ass right now.
Listen, your mother is not a Virgo like mine. I don't got time for this shit.
My mother's an emotional Pisces, so
All she gonna do is cry and move on. My mom, listen, even the conversation of I told my mom one day, she has a couple toxic traits as a Virgo. She can be dismissive. The minute that she doesn't care, she just doesn't care, and that's just it. And the word toxic to her generation is me saying that she's
triggering her.
Yeah, she's you're trying to say that I'm not. I'm not trying to say nothing. The word toxic just means that it's toxic. I don't understand what you don't get. Yeah, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Definitely gotta different vocabulary.
Definitely different vocabulary. I cannot use Twitter words with her. Sorry, cannot.
Yes, do not use.
I have to make it very plain.
Yeah, we cannot use Urban Dictionary. It gotta be in Webster for her to understand.
Yeah,
what you're saying.
Our parents still, they are very old school, and I think it's interesting knowing I haven't had as many conversations with your mom today, but I've definitely talked to Miss Janice, and I'm yeah, y'all all come from this era.
Yeah,
y'all real y'all some head busters. It is very obvious. Y'all straight to the point. So I'm interested. I'm excited because I think that we all deserve for it to leave our minds now. They need to know how we feel, and I'm glad that we've had a conversation, because obviously I was being a super feminist to Sierra. I will never forgive myself.
Michelle, you were definitely a super feminist at that point in our lives.
I'm glad that we've had these conversations, because I think it's gonna change some relationships.
Or even how we mother our daughters.
Because I don't think any of us have horrible relationships. Yeah.
Oh, no.
None of us have horrible relationships.
No, we don't have horrible relationships. No.
Especially because we're all girl moms. That's the part I'm excited about. This is gonna look different for our kids.
Yeah. It's don't get it fucked up. My mom is my girl.
Yeah.
But it's there's always things that happen. And I think that it's just for me, and I feel what I know that I need out of life is really kind of just to bless and release it.
Yes.
I don't want to carry on and it be oh, well, I didn't know. I can't operate like that anymore. Everybody has to know. Here it is. And then let's address it and let's just move forward. Because we can't go back. I'm grown.
I love that.
We can't go back. So I'm not mad. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Now, let's move forward.
I love that.
Yeah. So
peace and blessings.
We didn't cry. That's good. Can we
I didn't. No.
I want to talk about some crying shit.
I don't really cry like that. So
come on, I'm gonna wear mascara. I want to see. Why do you love me? Tell me, baby.
You are so dramatic. Oh my God.
That's the Leo in you.
Very much drama.
Because what?
But yeah. So this was a deep ass episode. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a
sexy next time.
Oh, First you wanted to
I don't
cry.
know.
Now you want to be grown and sexy.
Oh, well, yeah, we can bring back crying.
No. Well, listen, we're going to, whatever natural emotion comes out, if you emote with waterworks, then okay.
Go ahead, emote.
I just
You're annoying.
You.
You're annoying. But yeah, so make sure that you guys tune in next week for our Hot Topics episode. If there's anything that you want us to discuss, cover, send it to us on DM us on Instagram. We will mark it and we're going to bring it up and discuss it on the next episode. So yeah, that'll be a Hot Topics episode. And then we'll follow up again from that with another episode like this, different topic, just more guided conversation is what I will call it. Yeah. So we hope you guys enjoy more content from us and we're going to keep putting it out. So that's it.
Okay, Bye.